Why do we go to prison? Because apartheid was not just a social phenomenon of racism. It was racism by law to achieve a purpose. And the purpose was cheap labour for the mines, for the farms, for industry, commerce, railways, transport, the whole economy, dominated by international and South African capital, mainly white. And how did you allocate labour to these different elements and parts of the economy? How did you ensure that labour would be cheap? Well, you decided in a national convention of white politicians in 1909 that Africans would have no political rights, that they would be controlled, that there would be laws which limited their right of access to cities, to jobs, without written permission, called the Pass Laws, eventually combined into a book, the Dam Pass, the Dom Pass, which controlled their lives. It was illegal to go and look for work and stay too long in the city, and you couldn't find a job and stayed. You'd end up in prison. Something like 150,000 to 300,000 a year would be in prison because they wanted to work. And whites would say, what sort of people are these? They leave their families and go to the cities. But they made laws which made it illegal to take the family with them in. It's outrageous behaviour. Cheap labour. Profits were enormous. White workers eventually were part of the system of control. Mine workers who were white were paid 18 to 20 times as much as a black worker. Black workers doing the most menial jobs, but absolutely depended upon for the profits of the mines. And the white miners privileged, living very nice lives for working people. I wish all workers could live that way. I wish they could all have caravans and swimming pools and what have you, the best of the best paid mine workers, but at the expense of controlling black workers, and therefore being the most threatened element in our economy, because if black workers were free, they would also become skilled workers. And so all of this was controlled. White workers had trade unions, were able to influence government because they had votes. Black workers were allowed to form trade unions, but it was illegal to bargain collectively. Government officials bargained on their behalf. Government officials and the Chamber of Mines and the Chamber of Industry and Commerce were in cahoots against our working people. And so when I became politically active in the 1950s, I would say to my comrades who'd been active for years, you're a member of the Communist Party, you're a member of the ANC, you're a member of a trade union. Aren't there any conflicts? And they would say to me, well, you see, comrade. They were watching me very closely, but they called me comrade from the beginning, but they watched me to see if I was serious enough. They told me that afterwards. Well, you see, when I am oppressed as an African because I'm black, I'm a member of the African National Congress. And I have to be together with others for the rights of African people, the most oppressed of all in South Africa. When I'm a worker and I'm in my trade union and I want better wages and working conditions, my trade union is the one that I go to for help. How do we organize? How do we compel the bosses to pay better wages? How do we work with other workers? And when I want to understand the connection between the racism of apartheid and low wages, I turn to the Communist Party for a theory to understand it. I thought that was a remarkably mature answer. And I have to tell you, as a young person growing up, I grew up in a left-wing communist household, parents from England who came with their anti-apartheid socialist attitudes, meeting people of all races in our home, people who would eat with us and discuss. And I was taught to respect people regardless of who they were. And if I didn't, I suppose I wanted my mother's love, and she'd be very upset with me if I was rude. So, mothers have quite a big role to play. But it also becomes the morality that guides your life. Respect. Respect for people. Doesn't matter if they wear boots and dirty clothes because they haven't been able to go home after work, or they're university professors and doctors and lawyers, and so on. All of this shaped me, and I knew, born in 1933, knowing about the Spanish Civil War, I can still sing some of the songs of the International Brigade and sing them with international brigaders wherever I meet them all over the world. It's like a club of people who fought oppression, didn't matter in which country. And it's a wonderful feeling of belonging to such a movement all over the world.